All right, viewers, welcome to another episode from Anything About Everything. And today I have one of my most favorite professor, Dr. Andrew Gold, who has inspired me a lot in my life. He was one of the first professors that I took management classes with at University of Tampa, and his classes were mind blowing. And in between the podcast, I'll ask him about the classes, why he did the activities that he did in classes. It was amazing. All of my fellow mates used to look forward to attend his classes. Dr. Gold, thanks for coming over and thanks for doing this for me.
Oh my gosh, Ragu, it is so exciting to see you again. I miss you. You are by far like my favorite student. You went above and beyond just the classroom work and never said no to any of my crazy ideas about getting out into the community and doing cool things. So I'll forever be indebted to you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It means a lot coming from you. To start off with, Dr. Gold, I still remember like the story that you said, how you were working at Wall Street and how that kind of changed your life significantly with few events that you went through. Can we talk about that just the same way that we spoke about in our first class?
Sure. So I think I should probably dial back a little bit before working on Wall Street. It's an interesting story. You can edit it out if you want to. But I'll share it anyways. So it's a story that speaks to the randomness in life and serendipity, which is something, we spoke a lot about in class. So, these unexpected things that happen in life that kind of pivot you into a certain direction, we often don't think about those things, but we should because they help understand our life path a lot more clearly. So for me, the biggest thing was when I was in eighth grade in New York City, I was zoned for high school in Manhattan, which was not a very good high school. It was called Brandeis High School. And my parents didn't have the financial means to send me to private school. So I was headed to this high school. And I remember being really scared about it. I wasn't like a tough kid. Back then, I used to have long hair. I played the drums. I was, one of those kind of people. But in New York City, there were three really good high schools that you needed to take an exam for. One is called Stuyvesant High School. The other is Bronx Science, and the third is Brooklyn Tech. So I take this test. I was a bad test taker. I happened to have scored well enough, much to my surprise, to go to any one of the three schools. There were different cutoff points. So I had two friends that were in a similar situation as me, and we immediately eliminated Bronx Science because that's in the borough of the Bronx. And my friends and I are lifelong New York Mets baseball fans. And the Mets are, of course, from Queens. And we didn't want to listen to obnoxious Yankees fans telling us how bad the Mets were for 4 years of our life. So, really bad reason to eliminate an amazing high school. But that is honestly why we eliminated it. So we were centered on Stuyvesant, which was in Manhattan, really good high school. And then this movie comes out called Saturday Night Fever with John Travolta. If you've never seen it, you should. It's a really good movie, but it takes place in Brooklyn. And he's a working class kid, works in a hardware store. He's into dancing, goes to all these clubs. My friends and I were like, oh my God, there's like a whole scene in Brooklyn going on. We'd spent no time really in Brooklyn. So we thought, that's the place we need to go. There's clubs, there's dancing, there's girls. It's going to be great. So I pick Brooklyn Tech High School. Now, the only reason that that's important is in my freshman year of high school, my English teacher, Mr. Edwards, who turned out, by the way, to be the worst English teacher I could have ever had, taught me to this very day almost everything I know about finance and economics. He was really into trading the stock market. I didn't know that when I first walked in, but I slowly learned that about him. And he kind of took me under his wing, taught me about how to interpret financial stock charts and, learned about the economy and different financial terms. And it was because of him that I pursued my first career out of college on Wall Street. I thought, this is exciting. This is fun. This is interesting. This is something I'd love to do as a career. I didn't really know what I want. Well, I did know what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a rock and roll musician, drummer, but that wasn't going to happen. I wasn't that good at the drums, and I was never in a band good enough for anything close to that. But that was my ultimate aspiration. Wasn't going to happen. So Wall Street was a fallback for me. So I get this job working for a company called Prudential Securities in their research department out of college. It's a junior level position. I worked my way up to become a vice president, a strategist, using exactly what Mr. Edwards had taught me, a technical market analysis using charts and sentiment to predict the future and trade the market. And I really loved it for a long while. But over time, as I worked longer on Wall Street, encountered different individuals, observed different types of behavior that were really questionable to a large degree, I began to feel like my soul was just getting ripped out of my body. And it was really disconcerting to me, but I didn't know what to do. I made some good money, and that was great. Enjoyed some of the folks that I worked with, but it was soulless work. I mean, my job was basically, Raghu, to make a pile of money bigger each day for other individuals, and I just didn't see a strong life purpose to that. So I left and I went to work with a friend of mine. And you can interrupt me if I'm going too long and you want to ask me
No,
another question.